Thanks for coming out. We're about 2 weeks now. I think today was practice number 14. So about 2 weeks into fall camp, and obviously you're in the grind of it right now. I think we've made a lot of progress in a lot of areas. I think we're in the middle of those ups and downs that come with camp, but excited with where we are, excited with the progress we're making. Obviously still a lot of things that we've got to get cleaned up and fixed here in these last 2 weeks as we head down the stretch, getting ready for Notre Dame. And so we've got our last scrimmage tomorrow, so we're excited for that, and then kind of take Monday off and then get back into school and then a little bit of a routine as it terms of school, and kind of do some practices this week to kind of get our stuff situated, and then towards the end of the week start to transition into Notre Dame prep, and then it'll be game week, and it's here. I told the guys this morning, today's the last Saturday without college football. And so, it's here. The season's here, and it's time to get going. On the injury front, I do obviously want to address the Ruben Owens situation. Unfortunately, he suffered a foot injury last week, and so he's going to be out for an extended period of time, most likely this season. There's an outside chance that if the season extends beyond the regular season, we'll have a chance to get him back for something. A lot to be determined on that. But that was an unfortunate thing last weekend. Other than that, we've managed to stay really healthy, had a really strong camp, and so that's kind of where we are. So questions from you guys.
Second row, right, Olin.
Yeah, Mike, first of all, are y'all close to, or do y'all have a starting lineup, or when do you think you would have a starting lineup, and then your plans for Terry Bussey now?
Yeah, I think in terms of starting lineup, I think, I don't know that in the positions that are in high-level competition probably go all the way up until kickoff, to be honest with you. I don't know that we're going to formalize those. I think we'll come out of tomorrow and sit down as a staff and try to finalize where a lot of things are. I think that'll probably set 90% of the starting 22, those high competitions, who is the third, fourth, fifth O lineman, who is the true five in the secondary, who is the second backer. I think some of those battles will just kind of continue to go all the way through up until kickoff, to be honest with you. I don't know that we'll make any final decisions until we get closer to the game. But I do think coming out of tomorrow, we'll have a staff meeting. In terms of Terry, obviously, he's a kid that's got a lot of value. We know that. We've talked about his flexibility to do a lot of things for us. And so, we've kind of moved him around a little bit, tried to get the ball in his hands a little bit more, some different ways that we can do that. And so, where that ultimately lands is probably still a little bit up in the air.
Second row on the right, Carter.
Mike, with Ruben out, have you considered moving anybody to running back? And is there anybody maybe in an emergency situation that you think of?
Yeah, I think right now we're probably good with the three. Obviously, Le'Veon has had a really strong camp. We're really confident in him. Amari Daniels and E.J. Smith were both leading rushers on Power 5 football teams last year. So I don't think we're at that point right now. Anthony Donota will kind of slide into that fourth role. And, I think what we've had some conversations is about, what are the what ifs? What are the what ifs if you start getting a rash of them, and where do you have to go? And I'm going to kind of keep that to ourselves, but obviously those conversations are being had. But as it stands currently, I don't know that it's a very stressful situation. I think it's more, okay, what happens if more things go wrong, and then where do we go? What do we do? And trying to make some of those preparations now so it doesn't hit us on the fly.
Back behind the lights to the left, Nicole.
Coach, with this being your first year here, just with this fall camp, not having something to compare it to besides a team that wasn't this team, just how do you like where you guys are for your progress? Yeah,
I think it's really hard when you're the head coach, because the head coach watches 22 players every single play, and for the last 24 years of coaching, there's yet to be a play where all 22 guys do it exactly the way you want it to without improvement needed. And so I watch it every day and I see somebody mess up, and that's where a lot of my focus goes. But I think by and large, I'm happy with the tempo at which we're practicing. I'm happy at the urgency that we've had to go out and get better. I think we've handled a lot of the what we call the small things, like walkthroughs, meetings. I think we've been very intentional about how we've gone through a lot of that, which shows me that we've got a group that's hungry to learn and improve. Obviously there's a lot to still get better at. And that's just kind of where most teams are in the country right now, and we're certainly no different. And so it's a big 2 weeks for us to kind of finalize this thing and get it where we want it to go.
Front right, Travis.
Hey, Mike, with the coaching restrictions lifted this season, how has that changed or affected practice? And has it changed or affected the results that you've seen from practice so far?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it necessarily has changed a lot. You know, obviously we've got some really talented analysts and quality controls, and they have all those different titles. And so being able to get some of those guys out there on the field without restrictions, without being able to hamper the job that they do. But and again, I don't want this to come out the wrong way. Like some of these decisions that get made so late in the process, it's not like we set our staff up in December knowing this was coming. And so you anticipated it coming, but it's not like you could have prepped for it completely. And so I think maybe how you structure your stuff maybe changes a little bit going into next year when I think everyone's aware what the coaching ramifications are, what you can do, and maybe that lends to a little bit of a different staff structure. But right now, we're just kind of running the way we've been running.
Second row on the left, Alex, and then to the right, Brent.
Just how are you seeing things shaping up on special teams with kicker, punter, returner, et cetera?
Yeah, so obviously Tyler White's doing a really good job from a punting standpoint. Really happy with him. Randy Bond has had a phenomenal camp. He's going to be our field goal guy and placement guy. Still a little bit of a battle to see what we do on the kickoff team and who is the kickoff guy. You know, Terry's an explosive kid with the ball in his hands, and so I'd anticipate we'll see him back there a little bit as a return man. I also, you know, Moose Muhammad's been back there as a punt returner. He's got a lot of experience doing that. Cyrus Allen's a kid who's pretty dangerous with the football in his hands, and so, you know, we'll kind of finalize exactly where all that stuff goes come Notre Dame, but those are probably the three guys that are in the mix to be back there as return men.
Front right, Brent, and then we'll go
Kind of
left
along
to
the lines of what Nicole asked, it was only 2 years ago you were doing this for the first time at Duke. What did you learn from that experience and doing all that for the first time that you've carried over to now doing it the first time here?
To let other people judge where we're at and not myself. No. Yeah, I think we've learned how to run fall camp real efficiently. I think there's a balance you're trying to strike in fall camp of how difficult you make it without wearing your team out, how much you push without pushing too much, how physical you are without risking injury, right? There's this balancing act that you have to get through in fall camp. And, you know, and so we got to do that at Duke the way we felt like it should be done for 2 years and tweak and change some things and look at some things and make sure we were kind of optimizing all of that. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that we spend a lot of time on this time of year is just how you do all of that. How do you do that all the right way so that when we run out of the tunnel against Notre Dame, things are firing. And I think probably the second year, you know, knowing we had Clemson in the opener, knowing that was going to be obviously a big game and that type of thing, I think that kind of gave you an idea of how to set up this camp going to get ready for Notre Dame.
Front left, Cease, and then Mark.
Since we're going to talk to Scooby Williams in a little bit, what's his camp been like, and where does he fit? Who's he battling behind York? And you talked about those positions up for grabs.
Yeah, I mean, I think Scooby's doing a great job. I think he's had a really good summer, learned the system. You know, I think coming here for the first time in the spring, we saw glimpses of what he was capable of. I think he's been a lot more consistent this fall camp, and so we're really excited with where he's doing, how he's playing. Obviously, he's in a pretty tight competition for where 2, 3, and 4 wind up at linebacker. I think that is him, Damian Sanford, and Solomon DeShields. I think those three guys are battling for 2, 3, and 4, and we'll kind of see where it lands.
Left, Mark.
Coach, earlier this summer, I can't remember if it's SEC Media Days or first practice, or whatever, but you were talking about the offensive line. You said you wouldn't necessarily call it a strength. Now that, you know, you're getting done with fall camp, what is your opinion on what you've got now?
Yeah, I don't know that my opinion has changed a ton. I think those kids are getting better. I think they're battling. I think we, you know, if the first half of camp was strongly tilted towards the defensive line having more success, I think it's become a lot more balanced the last week of camp. I think those kids are under fire every day, which is great for them. I think learning how to block that group every day is really good for them in terms of building toughness. I think we've gotten significantly better through 14 practices. we'll kind of see where we're at when we get out and get ready to play.
To the left, Rob.
Howdy, Coach. Can you talk about Connor's fall camp and the rest of your quarterback room?
Yeah, I mean, Connor's healthy, which is great for him. I think he's really comfortable in the system now. I think he's really got a chance to go out there and operate at a really high level. And so I think he's just continued to get better and better every time he goes out there. And so we're really excited with who he is, what he's capable of. He's such a winner. He's such a competitor. And so him leading us into Notre Dame, we're really excited about that. Behind him, I think Marcel Reed is extremely electric and dynamic of an athlete. I think he's shown against some really talented players out there his ability to get out of the pocket and make big plays, and he's also got a really big arm, and so we're happy with what he's done. And then Jalen Henderson has had a good camp, and I think he's got some dual threat ability as well, and so I feel good about where we are in that room.
Alex, you'll wrap us up. We've got Coach Bateman ready.
What have you seen from Micah Tees in these past 2 weeks and just kind of what he brings to the table at wide receiver?
Yeah, I think he's a kid that's gotten better every time he's gone out there. I think he's a heck of a competitor. He's done a really good job making contested catches. I know some of those have gotten out on social media and stuff, which has been great for him. I think every time he goes out there, he just continues to improve and get better.